The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I talk about things that I feel need talking about, and sometimes they're not getting the attention they deserve. And your feelings, they're not under consideration. Hey everybody, welcome to the final episode of 2022 for I Had to Say It. If you're listening and this is your first episode, you got 2 years and some change worth of back episodes to go through. And if you've been with me for a while, thanks for sticking around, guys. I really appreciate it. Particularly in this season of holiday seasons where it's a good time to show gratitude and appreciation for things. I really appreciate you guys actually listening to my little rants and babbling and making me feel like this is worth doing it for more than just my own sake of yelling into the void. And in that spirit of gratitude and thankfulness, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the supporters of the show. We have Josh, Jake, B-Word and the Iceman through Patreon, and Jason and Miss Aaron through Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you guys. I really appreciate everything. So, yeah, thanks, guys. So, anyway, for the final episode of the year, it's, current events are the same current events. There's not really anything super massively ground-shattering at this point, depending on how you look at things, that is, of course. Basically, just quick recap with the stuff that's been going on. Twitter dumps more stuff. FBI issues a statement basically saying a bunch of conspiracy theorists are trying to discredit the agency, and basically everybody is laughing at them because it's like, no, the agency lost any credibility when all this shit came out that all the stuff they said they weren't doing. Oh, look, here's the receipts. You're actually doing it. So, yeah, federal government, whoever's assigned to monitor me, yeah, it's your guys' fault. That's it. End of story. And in a semi-related thing, basically came out that the CIA more or less plugged Kennedy, to the absolute surprise of none of the conspiracy theorists who that term was created by the CIA to discredit people that were talking about the fact that the CIA murked Kennedy. I haven't really looked at all the details myself, but the long and the short of it is there's a ton of people going, yeah, the government just admitted they killed a sitting president and nobody's doing anything about it. And yeah, the most of the generation that cared about that is dead. We should all care about it, but a lot of us are kind of apathetic towards it. It's been 60 fucking years. Nobody cares anymore. It's a shame, but it's the truth. Anyway, and that's enough about that shit. The bulk of this episode is going to be more of a kind of a retrospective for me, at least. So if that's not something you're going to be particularly interested in, sorry. If you came here for the rants and the complaining and the making fun of people, that'll resume soon enough, I promise. But I did want to kind of talk about the direction I want to take the show in the next year and kind of look back at some of the stuff that's happened over the last year. Some of it was pretty awesome. Some of it was, swing and a miss kind of shit, but yeah, it's been a year. It's been a long time. There's been like 60 some episodes, which is not insignificant. And so looking back at those 60 some episodes, I did a lot of things, tried a lot of new things this year, had a lot more guests on, not as many as I would like. I wanted to do that a more regular thing, and going forward, I definitely want to have more guests on the show. I want to do more guest spots on other shows too. I just got to make the effort and get that stuff coordinated and stuff. But going back, and I was looking at it and went through the list, and I had some pretty great guests on, and they had some good shows. So if you listen to me, you should probably go check out their shows too, because I wouldn't steer you wrong. If you're listening to me, you should probably appreciate most of the things I appreciate, unless you're like hate listening to me, in which case, great. I mean, if you hate listening to me, contact me. Let me know why you think I'm an asshole in particular. We could probably have some pretty interesting conversations. But in 2022, this is kind of going in like reverse chronological order because I had to go through back episodes to make sure I didn't miss anybody. But I had Josh from the Apple Boys podcast on, which is a good show. I listened to them. Lauren from the Beard Al podcast, where they talk about beer and Weird Al. It's a great show. I listen to it every week. I had Russ from the Infectious Grooves podcast on. Russ is a great guy. he's been a fan of the show pretty much since it started. And, well, I should not necessarily from right when it started, because when I started, I didn't really interact with a lot of people, but I did at one point reach out to him, and we started interacting. And anyway, yeah, Russ is great. I had Cody on from Dungeons and Podcasts. I had Jake from Jake the Hater from Half of the Bleach Brothers podcast was on. I had Jim from Film Rage, which is one of the fantastic movie podcast. Good guys. They had a really good talk with Jim when he came on. I had Jordan and AJ from the Dads on Dayquil, another one of those shows. They're great guys, friends of the show. I really encourage anybody that listens to me. You probably have a similar sense of humor to me. You should probably go check out Dads on Dayquil. You could use a laugh. I could say the same thing for, like I said, any of these shows. But I had Celine from Checkered Past, a ska cast, which that was a really great conversation, actually. And she's a pretty cool lady. And in my youth, I was a big fan of ska, and it was kind of nice to talk to her about that stuff. I mean, we talked some music, we talked some politics, just general stuff. And it's a good show. You should be checking that one out, too. I had Dre from the Tattooed Squid podcast on. Dre's my buddy. I will ride with Dre whenever he needs me. He's good people. I had a few people that I didn't know all that well. I mean, honestly, I don't know any of these people, like, in person, but Wifey from Chicken Mind Nuggets, which is a little shorter podcast. They're more like microcasts, I think is the term now, where they're between, like 5 and 10 minutes. They're good you can cram them in, quick listen when you're on your lunch break or whatever. She's got some really interesting thoughts and experiences and stuff she shares. So that's a one where I'm really like, yeah, you should be checking that one out. I had a great talk with Ian from Why Whiskey, right towards the start of the year this year. And then my first guest of the year this year was B-Word from the Bleach Bros. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I love the Bleach Bros. I love all the shows that I had guests from. And like I said, I appreciate you guys. For those of you that listen, I appreciate you coming on, and doors always open if you ever want to do it again. And on the other side of that coin, I did some guest spots last year too. Over this past year, I did a guest spot with Mike and Tabby on Happy Hour podcast. I love those guys; they're fantastic, great people, good show, entertaining as hell. You guys should be listening to that one for sure. I was on the Motor Cop Chronicles a couple of times, which maybe it's just me, but I feel special when I get to go on that show because I'm like not a retired law enforcement officer in any way, shape, or form. But the fact that the guys, like my opinions and my takes on things, and it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy that they, have occasionally felt the need to say, hey, why don't you come hop on the Wednesday news with us? And yeah, it's I always have fun with those guys, and I it's one of those shows I never miss. I really really enjoy their takes, and just they'll dish it to wherever it's going, whether it be dumb criminals, bad cops, generally shitty people. They tell it like they see it, and I think it's great. It's good to get another perspective. I mean, I've said it multiple times over the course of the year, and last year too, with everything that was going on when people were screaming defund the police. And I know not everybody's going to agree with me on this one, but I don't really give a shit either. That's part of the thing. This is my opinion. I'm entitled to it. You're entitled to think and feel whatever you want to feel, but I look at it as cops are just like anybody else. They're just human beings. There's good ones. There's shit ones. I consider myself fortunate that I came across some guys that happen to be law enforcement officers that I think are pretty awesome, and their perspective helps humanize the fact that, yeah, these guys are just guys. They're doing a job. They're doing a thankless, very dangerous job. And most of them deserve respect. Now, the shitty ones, the ones that are bad, the ones that are abusing their position, yeah, fuck them. But if you got a problem with the fact that I like these guys, that's a you problem. You can send me all the hate mail you want or whatever. I don't care. These guys are awesome. I support them. They're great guys, and that's the long and the short of that one. So I was also on Tracing Owls with which is a show about the paraweird, the supernatural, the different things that go on in the world. It was a really great time. The host is the former host of Darwin's Deviations, which is a show I did a spot for last year. And we had a really good talk. And that one was fun because I really kind of caught him off guard. His expectations of me were based off of listening to the show and listening to some episodes. We met through a podcast support group on one of the social media things, and kind of got to be acquaintances through that. And we, there's a guy on the other side of the planet, and we sat down and recorded an episode together where he was kind of tapping me as an everyman, not part of the paranormal, supernatural, cryptid, et cetera, community. And I caught him kind of off guard because the stuff he was expecting based on episodes of my show and stuff was not what he got. So that was fun, and that's another show. If you're into any of that stuff, the paranormal, paranatural, supernatural, cryptid, all that stuff, it's a good show. You go check it out. And it's not like he's sitting around stumping and saying, "Oh, all this stuff is necessarily factual." It's a different perspective on things. He talks to a lot of different people. It's a good show. I recommend checking it out. And speaking of recording stuff, another show I did stuff with past year was Canadian Spirit. It's a smaller show. It relates to paranormal, supernatural, cryptids, things like that, based out of Canada. And I did a couple of guest episodes and recorded some stuff for some of the infomercials that they run. And my buddy Kelly, that was a good time. I like I like it when people feel like they can tap me to come on the show, and I'll at least provide a bit of a back and forth with them on things. Another one that I did some collaboration with, and I'm looking forward to doing more. Got something coming up in the works, actually. We did West Virginia on Commonplace with JR. That guy he's very podcast forward promoter. Not podcast promoter, but I mean, he's got the game figured out. He's talks to all different kinds of people, all different walks of life, a lot of different podcasters, he's got a lot of different aspects to his show. He talks about all different kinds of stuff. Just good guy. It's always fun talking to him about stuff. And in a side thing, he's a good person to know if you're into podcasting, because he can put you onto a lot of different stuff. He knows SEO. He knows, he's always finding different little angles and things and letting me know about stuff. And I really appreciate the guy. And we'll be doing another episode with him again soon. And then, what else? I was on the Dads on Dayquil. I was on the Bleach Bros. I was on a couple episodes of 8750. I was on a couple episodes of Tattoo Squid podcast with Dre, which was always fun. I was on a couple episodes of the Infectious Groove podcast with Russ, which one episode with Kyle, one episode filling in for Kyle, both of which were, awesome and a lot of fun. And really appreciate that. The second episode, I got to talk to Michelle, and that was a long time coming. Go listen to the show. You'll understand why it's funny. And I was on one or two episodes of the Mind Buzz with my buddy Gil, which is always a good time. It's a great show. Gil talks to some really out there people, talks to some really awesome people, a lot of different perspectives, and a lot of good conversations there. So, yeah, those are all shows I think you should be checking out on at least a semi-regular basis, if not more frequently. Like I said, they're not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. I understand that. They are kind of all over the spectrum, with the exception of true crime. For some odd reason, that's not my area of expertise by any stretch of the imagination. I did do the episode with Kevin from the Jury Room where he was on my show, and that it's one of the few true crime podcasts I listen to on a regular basis. Mostly just I find the guy's tone soothing, and he's very respectful of stuff. And then there's a couple other ones I listen to pretty regularly too. I'm not going to go into my whole list of regular listening shows. One I will throw a quick little, if you're into true crime, check out the Crime Diner. It's always fun, for me at least, because, I'm a chef and I'm very into food, and they always pair stuff with meals related to the cases they're talking about. And the hostesses are fantastic people, and they are really entertaining. So I'll throw that one out there too, as one of the true crime shows I do listen to on a very regular basis. And I'm not always up to date, but I always do get caught up. So, but yeah, I digress. That's not really the whole point. This was not going to be just like a whole Aaron talks about other, but this is looking back at the way the year's been going over the last last year. And also those, I've been trying to do a little bit more social media stuff. Haven't been very good at it because I don't do a lot of pictures and stuff, so Instagram's not where I do a ton of posting. But I've been trying to get a little better about that. And I set up a TikTok account, which is kind of funny because as a rule, TikTok is not, it's one of those things, I have so many problems with it in general, but the part of me that keeps saying I want to try and take this whole podcasting thing seriously says, Aaron, you need a TikTok account. I've made like 3 videos, and out of those 3 videos, like 2 of them were in response to something from the Crime Diner, so and the other one was just something that I thought was funny. And they don't get a ton of engagement or anything on there, but I do find some really interesting stuff on there. I find some stuff that gives me things to think about. I find some stuff that has taught me some useful little hacks. I found some really cool culinary related stuff. I found some people I really think are pretty cool. Overall though, it's like all social media. I can pretty much take it or leave it. But that's just kind of, as I'm looking back at the past year, those have been like the big things that stand out to me. I met some really cool people. I've made some really cool friendships based on, interactions with people that I've never physically met. It's a weird thing to say that, I've got all these friends that I've never met, but between the whole pandemic and the ensuing stuff that's gone over the years since then, and this podcasting community has allowed me that opportunity to make friends with people that some live on the other side of the country, live on the other side of the planet. And then there's some that live within, a half hour, 45 minutes of where I am. And at some point it would be great if I get to meet up with these guys. And I've got multiple people on here that I really do. I consider them my friends at this point. And, hopefully someday we'll all be able to get together and sit down and have a meal, have a beer, whatever the case may be, whatever's appropriate. I'm sure some of my online friends probably don't drink or whatever, but I really do appreciate all the shows and all the friends I've made and all the interactions I've had, even though as much as I bitch about social media and how it's leading to stupidity and a bunch of other negative consequences, I really do appreciate the relationships it's given me over the last couple of years. And I find my life, personally enriched because of it, between my listeners, the friends I've made, the shows I've talked to, the things I've started to listen to. I've definitely expanded my horizons some. I hope I've expanded some other people's, at least their thoughts, if not anything else. And, so that's kind of looking back. And so we're going to take a little break so I can stick that quick penny grab in here. And when we come back, I'm going to talk briefly about where I want to go with the show in the coming year. And a lot of that may kind of hinge on you guys. So I'm going to be trying to get the audience side of things up a little bit. I'm going to take a little break here real quick, and then we'll come back and talk about what I've gotten planned for 2023.
This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
All right, so thanks for listening to that. Honestly, I have no idea what it was put in there because Anchor has kind of switched around the way they were doing their ads. It used to be when I clicked on a certain ad, it was you're going to get the one I read. Now I guess they're doing dynamic ads. It's some, I don't know, whatever it was. I hope it wasn't something that was too stupid or goes against my general principles. I doubt it. But anyway, so for the second half of this episode, I'm going to talk about my plans for 2023. I am planning on having a lot more guests on. So if you would like to be a part of the show, if you would like to be a guest on the show, feel free to reach out to me via any of the contact forms available at I had to say at podcast.com, or you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And let me know. And besides trying to have more people on my show, I do have plans in place to try and start doing more guest spots on other shows. to increase the visibility out there. But I also got to get better about talking it up when I go on other shows, so people will know I'm doing it, so they'll go check out these new shows or other shows that I've been on. But I really want to try and broaden my umbrella of people I interact with, because I feel like that would be a good thing for my own personal growth and development. And in case you haven't figured it out by now, a lot of the reason I do things is purely for that kind of stuff, so I can become a better person or broaden my horizons. Or I don't need echo chambers. I don't need people telling me shit I already know. I need new sources of information, new experiences, new things to learn. And in the vein of new experiences, I know I talked about it a lot off and on, but I'm like, I hate the concept of a New Year's resolution, but it's kind of what this is I am going to start doing a bi-weekly live episode. I'm looking at Sunday nights. I want to have guests on because I tried doing one by myself. It really didn't get any traction. I mean, it was a very spur of the moment, so it's not like people could make plans accordingly to get there. But I do want to start doing live shows with other people being involved on it. At least, that's part of the plan. I really think I could increase my the quality of the work I'm doing and my experience for it. And I think it would be fun because I did do a couple of lives this year, which I don't know why I didn't cover in the recap. I did the live one chip challenge with my buddy Jason, and I did a live episode just on the fly one night when the episode that I recorded and posted was all messed up and didn't have any audio when it posted. And when I tried to recover it, all my files were corrupted for that episode. So yeah, I found out I actually kind of like doing live stuff. It's fun. I like interacting with people in the comments. I like, interacting with other people. I think it makes the show a better experience. It's more fun for me. I think it's probably more fun for you guys too. So I want to get more stuff like that going on. I want to find out more things that are interesting. I do want to keep growing and improving the show. And I know I say this pretty often, but I need you guys to help me with that. I need interaction. I need feedback. I need to hear things you guys want, things you guys think would improve the situation. Things that would, just make it a better experience and make you guys more inclined to want to listen to it or watch it or whatever. And that'll be the other thing with the live episodes. It'll be a streaming, so it'll be a video medium. Probably it'll be Twitch and YouTube to begin with, just because with the free streaming software I've got, I have a limited number of things I can stream to at a time, and I can't stream to my podcast's Facebook page. I can only stream to my personal one. And as much as I appreciate you guys listening, and most of my existing people I interact with on a regular basis probably already have me added on Facebook, but that's not where I want to throw up these shows' main source, because frankly, I do like to have a little detachment from certain aspects of my life, just so I have something that's not strictly about the podcast, where I don't have to constantly be thinking about the podcast when I'm interacting with it. And my Facebook is in a lot of ways the way I keep tabs on people that I don't interact with in any other way, shape, or form, whether because they're too far away or we're just not that close anymore or whatever. Or, so, sometimes I'm old. It's nice to see pictures of like my friends' kids and stuff and see everybody's growing up and doing well with their lives, and, people I know are doing better at adulting than I am, so that's good to know. And, that's kind of my plan, at least the rough out, the Cliff's Notes, the jotted down on the back of a bar napkin somewhere, that will hopefully blossom into a more well-rounded and polished experience. I do have a lot of things I still want to do that, unfortunately, I just don't have the capital to do. I mean, even with the fact that I've actually got people who support the show now and have signed up for the memberships wherever, and I'm still operating in a loss on a regular basis. Not that I'm complaining. I'm not saying this to bitch to you guys. I don't want or expect anybody to be like, oh, here, let me throw money at Aaron. No, that's not what I'm saying. But point is, some of the stuff I want to do, I'm just not in a fiscal position to do right now. In the real world, in our private lives, there has been some other complications over the course of the year. Some of them I've talked about, some of them I haven't. But yeah, I'm too broke to be doing some of the shit I really want to do, like merch giveaways and things like that. yeah, I just don't have the resources at the moment to do that stuff. As soon as I can afford it, I will do some cool shit for you guys just to say thank you for listening to me for all this time. Putting up with me. I mean, I appreciate when I get the listens, the time that you guys actually, give me out of your day. Because that is the one finite thing we all have, is we all got a set amount of time. Not that I'm saying this necessarily as somebody who believes, like fate's pre-written or any of this other shit. But, you only get so much time, and that's one thing you can never get more of. And I appreciate you sharing part of that with me. So to wrap this one up and kind of, put a pin in 2022, there's been a lot of shitty things that have happened. There's been a lot of fucked up things that have happened. There have been a lot of revelations that have come out that, a lot of us skeptics and naysayers, I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's been the longest and most unsatisfying I told you so in history. And I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic and hope for next year is going to be better. And a lot of the things I've said over the course of the year, I stand behind them to this point. I mean, I've made some mistakes. I've had some ill-informed opinions. I've had opinions I've rethunk. I've had stances that have shifted slightly due to new information being brought to light. That's one of those things. You got to keep changing and developing and growing, because otherwise you're basically dying. I mean, that's really the long and the short of it. When you stop growing, when you stop evolving, when you stop changing, you've started to die. It's just that's nature. And I've tried to put out some resources out there to help people that want to better themselves, to try and help people expand their horizons, expand their scope on things. And it's been an interesting year. There's been a lot of good. There's been a lot of not so great. There's been a lot of, you got to be kidding me. And we'll wait and see what the next year's going to bring. I don't have any ideas. I don't know. I mean, we can hope for the best. We can prepare for the worst. We can try and be better. We can try and do better. We can take care of each other. And that's really, as the year's winding to a close, that's kind of, if you made it this far, you should know. That's ultimately, that's all I really hope for any of us, is that, we're happy, we're comfortable, we're living our best lives without trying to tell anybody else how to live theirs. It's, tend your own field, till your own business, mind your own. Let other people live their lives how they feel like it's best, as long as nobody's getting hurt. That's ultimately what it boils down to. Live your best life. Let other people live theirs. Don't hurt anybody. Don't be a piece of shit. Don't suck. And if we can all just kind of take a little bit of that energy with us into the new year, maybe we'll be a little better off. Maybe we'll make some better progress. And, so be good to each other. Take care of each other. And for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.